Hey Moon Lovers, welcome to another episode of All Things Moon, Lunar Wisdom for Everyday Life with myself, Kelly Jones. And where have I been? I thought I would come on today and keep it brief as possible, but give you a little bit of a personal reflection of what's been going on in the past few weeks, so we can kind of get my stuff out of the way so you can catch up with where I've been, where I can give you some of the benefit of my experience and the wisdom that comes through experience before I elaborate on all the other aspects and energies and things that are going on in the next few weeks coming up. As you probably know, if you follow astrology, we have got eclipse season looming upon us. September 7th, we'll see a total lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. We have Saturn drifting back into Pisces in his retrograde. And then shortly after that, on the 21st of September, we have a second new moon in Virgo, which will be a partial solar eclipse. So I have not been around and I didn't fill you in on the first new moon in Virgo. So I did actually hold a private moon ceremony for myself here at my mum's caravan, where you can see I am again, so I'm not in my usual environment. And some of that, the reasons for that will become clear as I update you on everything that's been going on. So I didn't feel up to holding space for people. So my very, very loyal regulars who come to my moon ceremony, I did a private moon ceremony for myself here, and I recorded it and I sent it to them without any charge. I just sent it to them for free. And, bless one of them, she actually sent me some money anyway, which was beautiful. And I'm so grateful. But the challenges have come in all at once. So if you have been following my podcast, then you will remember that the day that Uranus moved into the sign of Gemini was the 7th of July, my birthday. And that was the day that myself and my partner Tom were in Cornwall in our camper van. And we had a call to say that his mum had ended up nearly dying that morning, and she was in a coma, and we had to pack up and drive for 6 hours to get to the hospital in London. And since then, she's made a full recovery. But since then, Uranus moved into Gemini, into both of our house of relationships. So that's the 7th house. So both Tom and I have Sagittarius rising in our charts, in our personal birth charts. So I knew that when Uranus moved into Gemini on the 7th of July, which was my birthday, that it would be moving into our house of relationships. So I knew that Uranus, being the radical, revolutionary, unexpected, shocking change agent that he is, when he comes in to disrupt things for change that needs to happen, to kind of force your hand. So, being an astrologer, having looked ahead, having looked at my own chart, I knew that things were coming up. But no matter how prepared you are, it never tells you how it's going to come. So even though things weren't completely unexpected, they still come as a bit of a blow and a shock. So one of the things, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to record another couple of short videos about all about Venus entering the sign of Leo. So that's a really nice video that I'll be doing, telling you all about those energies and where you can find it for yourself. And I'm actually doing a special offer for you so that you can have a little mini Venus reading for yourself, so you can find out all about how Venus in Leo is going to show up for you and where your own personal Venus is in your chart and things like that. And then I will be doing some in-depth podcasts on the eclipses, the upcoming eclipses. So don't worry, I will be giving you the information on that. But this one today is just to tell you some of my own stuff. Because, you know, I think that real stories are how we learn, it's how we grow, and it's authentic and it's true. And I'm not sensationalizing anything or making, you know, some prediction or anything like that. I'm actually telling you what actually has happened. So looking back on in my chart, I could show you my chart. I'm not going to, but I could show you my chart on here. But it's too much faffing around trying to screen share and stuff. But having looked at my chart, I could see that when Mars was in the sign of, hold on, let me just see. So when Mars moved into the sign of Libra just recently, so Mars moved into Libra, I could see that it was going to conjunct my natal Uranus, which is in my 11th house of groups, friends, socials, things that I do with other people. And I could also see that Mars was not only conjunct Uranus, but Mars was opposing at that point Saturn and Neptune. So Saturn and Neptune were at that point residing at the beginning stages of Aries, where they moved into a little while ago this year. And Neptune and Saturn are next to each other. They're conjunct in the sign of Aries. So if you go across the chart, Mars is opposite. And then in between that is my natal Uranus. So not only have I got Mars conjunct my natal Uranus, I have got Saturn and Neptune opposing my natal Uranus. So I looked at that and thought, oh my God. Also, I've been talking about and been so excited for the arrival of Jupiter in the sign of Cancer, because Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer. But of course, Jupiter expands whatever it is in and what it's near. And obviously, Cancer is a water sign. So I'm just going to give you some little stories here. So my mum was over from Australia for 6 weeks, and this weekend just gone, she went back to Australia. So hence the reason, no podcast. Everything was too emotional. I just couldn't. You wouldn't have wanted to see me. I have had all kinds of physical stress related things happen, and one of those was some big massive cold sores that made my face and my lips all swollen up here. I had a gland coming up here, so like this part of me was out here, and I really just didn't feel like being on camera, as I'm sure you can understand. So which is why I haven't told you any of this. But when my mum arrived in the caravan, shortly after she arrived, we had a surprise party for her. And just before that party happened, there was a major leak in the bathroom here in the caravan. So I put her on to a guy that lives on the site here, and he came and fixed it for her. And then when she came back from the surprise party, my brother dropped her off and the leak had happened again and it had got worse. So she then had to have the guy come back and fix it again. So she had a major water leak in her bathroom. Now, me and my mum share the same birthday. We are both 7/7 Cancerians. So, we've both got Jupiter expanding water in our sign of Cancer. By the Thursday of the same week, I was downstairs in my house. I was just going into the kitchen to make some dinner, and the kitchen floor was wet and I couldn't work out why. And I asked Tom if he'd been splashing water in the kitchen. He said no. He'd just got out of the bath. He'd let all the bath water out, and it turns out that most of the bath water was coming through my kitchen ceiling. So I had to call a plumber in an urgent, it was in the evening, so nobody could come out. I phoned a friend who was a plumber, and he told me to drill some holes in the ceiling to save my kitchen ceiling from caving in because it was bowing. There was that much water in it. And so we had buckets everywhere with this major water leak in my bathroom. As it turns out, I now need a whole new bath, which means taking the bath out is going to be quite a big job. It's going to destruct some of the tiles. So I'm now going to have a new bath, some new tiles. There's also, I've got 2 showers in the house, electric showers, both of which don't work. So because we always have a bath, we never bother getting the showers fixed. But now we realise we've got no way of having a shower or a bath in the house. So I'm having to come here to the caravan to have a shower. Tom is managing just with the shower head to have a wash at home. He's got dreadlocks, so it's not so important for him to wash his hair, but it is for me. So hence the reason I'm here quite a bit at the moment. Obviously, my mum was here as well, so I was coming to see her. Previous to the bath experience, my front door got stuck shut. And I've now got to have my front door. I've got a Victorian house, so I've got to have the front door completely restored or have a new one. It's actually cheaper, even though it's still quite a few £100 to have my front door completely restored. So I've now got things expanding, not only water in my house, but also it turns out that the front door has expanded, and that's why it's got stuck shut and broken from water that comes from the street, because my front door has got a leak in it. Can you see what I'm saying? So it's expanded my front door, which has then ended up with me being stuck in the house with Tom. And if you think about the fact that we've got Uranus in Gemini in our relationship zone, all kinds of stress has come up in our relationship, which has highlighted some things that were simmering under the surface, but have now been brought to the surface through the stressful situation. And then in the very same week, I got the sudden, all of us, every teacher at the studio that I was teaching at in Chelmsford, which is a brand new studio, only opened last October. It's been open 10 months, and I'd just been given some more classes, so I was really excited to be teaching more there. And that same week as the bath leaked, we received an email on the Sunday evening with the sudden, unexpected, shocking news. Mercury had just turned direct in the sign of Cancer. Oh my gosh. So basically, we all got the news that the studio had been sold to new owners, and we were given 1 week's notice. And that was our last week ever, and we all lost our classes. So I've suddenly got all these bills to pay, and now way less money coming in. So that kind of made me I realised that I was completely reliant on working with Tom in his business, which for me felt very disempowering. And then we had this new moon in Virgo. So the new moon in Virgo was at 0 degrees of Virgo. And the last one's going to be at 29 degrees. So we've got one at the beginning and one at the end, which is why it's very unusual to have two new moons in the same sign. But this year we have, and that's in the sign of Virgo. So this first one was at 0 degrees. So when something's at 0 degrees or at 29 degrees, it's much more potent and powerful. My moon is at 0 degrees of Virgo. Now, anybody who's got their moon in Virgo will know how difficult it is to have your emotions in the Virgo zone. Be emotionally Virgo is to feel as though you have failed somehow in your relationships. It's very hard to be seen to be failing. And there is this sense of having to create, everything has to be sort of perfect. There's this over perfectionism that can happen. So, I've took it very hard. I took it very hard because I felt completely broken by everything. It felt as though I was being bombarded with a pile of stuff all at once. So my home, my bank balance, my career, my relationship, just about everything all at once. And the one amazing thing is, and blessing, is that I had my mum here, and I was just like a child, wanting to sit on my mum's lap and be cuddled and have a cry. The two Cancerians together with my mum nurturing me in her temporary home here. I've been wanting to sell my house for a long time and move and start afresh and have a complete change. And being stuck in the comfort zone, which isn't really that comfortable, but it's that better your devil you know. And me being the sensitive, empathic person who's very understanding of other people, with my 8th house shared resources storyline, my son in Cancer is in the 8th house. So the plot line of my life's movie revolves around that relationship with anybody where I'm sharing resources. So I've had lodgers in the house who I've had to chuck out, who have stopped paying me. I've been in a marriage where he liked to be the breadwinner and didn't like me to have any control over the money. And now I find myself reliant. It was the same in my business. I gave my power away to my business partner. So when I sold my business, and now I'm finding that I'm reliant and I'm disempowered with money in my relationship in my home. So, without boring you with all the details, you can see that this is a big chance and opportunity, and I am being forced and pushed to change things radically. Whenever there's a big change in my life, looking back in the astrology of my own personal chart, I can see that Uranus has always been involved. So, Uranus in Gemini is sudden unexpected news. Gemini is the communications, it's the journalist, it's telling the news, it's the magazine stories. I'm getting a real education this in plumbing and things, showers and all kinds of things at the moment. But anyway, I try and put a bit of lightheartedness on it, but I have actually been at the bottom of the bottom recently. I felt really, really weak, vulnerable. My physical body, I've had injuries where I've been weakened, so I've been having to go and get treatment for that, and it's been highlighted that it's my digestive system, my pituitary gland. I've had all these sort of out of control things going on in my body. So, this really is time to address things on many, many levels. So now my mum's got home. It's big girl pants on time. I'm very happy that Venus has entered Leo because my Venus is in Leo. So the self-love plan is underway. And, you know, I will update you on all those things, but I just wanted to just read out to you here, just in the last couple of minutes here, before I sign off. I just wanted to read out to you here just some very general things from my own birth chart interpretation, from all of those alignments with the Mars over Uranus. So Mars conjunct Uranus. I would just give you one line here. So when I looked that up in my chart, I just looked at the general interpretations and it said, at last you see the light. You are able to break through obstacles in innovative ways. So we also had the Saturn opposite Uranus going on. So Saturn opposite my natal Uranus. A need to break out of routines can surface during this transit. You may feel restless and extremely frustrated in areas in your life that up until now have felt safe and secure. It's probably best not to follow the immediate instinct to break up, break away, but to reassess your life carefully. So reassessing my life carefully, recognizing the intensity of the feelings is simply being caused by the changes within myself that have suddenly emerged due to the circumstances that have been forced by Uranus upon me. Saturn is restriction, it's structure, it's boundaries. Once I've put some of these changes into action within the areas of concern, I might not need to make such radical changes to the structures. So, you know, this is relative to my home. So I know that these eclipses coming up are going to be in my 10th and my 4th house of home and career. You know, massive change is I have no choice. I have to do this. Otherwise, my physical body, going on previous wisdom and experience, is going to be affected. Also, whilst Mars was conjunct Uranus, I've also had Mars opposite my Chiron. So recent occurrences might be upsetting my equilibrium, prompting a change of heart. And I need to put my lessons into practice with compassion and clarity. Painful as it may be, I'm faced with choices, and honesty is the best policy. And as I mentioned, you know, Neptune is next to Saturn, so Neptune must be opposite my Uranus as well. And this could be a difficult time when I feel like my individual rights are being eroded, my lack of freedom and uncertainty at how to regain all of those things. My individuality the changes are going to confuse rather than excite me. And life might seem uncertain and out of control. And that's Neptune opposite my Uranus, Saturn opposite my Uranus, Mars over my Uranus, and Mars opposite my Chiron. So, but the good thing is I can see these things. You know, I'm being forced to reassess the direction of my life and realign my goals, but with a more spiritual emphasis. Because I don't want to end up with a physical illness here. So, you know, I just wanted to fill you in on this, and I wanted to show you how like these things can play out, and they're not always bad. You know, ultimately these things have felt terrible and I felt broken, but sometimes we need to break down everything so that we can rebuild. and just staying in that sort of nowhere land has not been, you know, it's been too easy to just think, oh, you know, I'll just wait, maybe this will change, maybe that will change. But actually, you know, now it needs to change. So I'm going to leave it there, but I just wanted to let you know where I've been, what's been occurring, why I haven't been here. And when I sign off from here, I'm going to record the Venus in Leo video for you, which will be a little bit shorter. And I always say it's going to be shorter, but I do like to waffle on, don't I? So please do contact me. Please do like, subscribe, share, and share with your friends, anybody who might be having, you know, some stress at the moment. And it may be that we can have a look at their chart and see what's going on for them. And just listening to this stuff sometimes helps you to know that you're not alone. Okay. So I'll sign off. All things moon, blessings to you, and I will see you on the next video.